I'm going to black myself out so people don't see me driving.
All right. See you later.
All right.
I'll just mention, since you turned on the YouTube, Avery, for anybody who's listening on YouTube, we're waiting for the chairs and a quorum to be able to sign on.
Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Bickford, have you gone fishing?
I am fishing right now. See, I'm on Sebago Lake with the mountains in the background.
There you go.
Representative Bickford, I'm still waiting for you to come and clean my walkway.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah, I got to clean mine again today.
Yeah, it's snowing right now.
Yeah. And I apologize in advance, but I have to leave around 11.
Gotcha. We can get this done quick, right?
Sure. Make a motion and deal with it.
Mo, is Dr. Allen going to be in today?
I hope so. It looks like Mr. Sagasser is here and Miss Pop. There's Dr. Allen right there. Yeah, we're all here.
Good. All right, thanks.
Representative Bickford, it looks like you're out fishing today.
I am. I'm out in my boat on Sebago Lake.
It's a good thing you're wearing your hat.
You can't fish without one. It's against the law.
You have to have some place to keep your flies.
There you go. Looks like we're just waiting for two more. Julie, let's wait like 1 minute for looks like Senator Daughtry and Representative Collins, I think. And I think everybody else is here.
We have Representatives Perry and Sachs.
Yep, we do.
Okay, I hadn't seen them yet.
Right here.
Oh, there they are.
Still on my iPhone, trying to get this darn computer working.
People keep moving around from different places. So it's hard to keep track.
Joe, I have the same issue. I have to use my phone. I can't use my laptop.
What a pain.
It is.
Yeah.
Looks like almost everybody is with us. Should we begin with introductions, and those that aren't with us can maybe introduce themselves when they join in?
Perfect.
Great. So welcome everyone to the Committee on Taxation. I'm Senator Chipman. We're going to start with introductions. I think the best way to do it might just be to go alphabetically, starting with Senator Daughtry and then finishing with Representative Terry and myself. So Senator Daughtry, would you like to introduce yourself?
I think she may need another minute.
Okay. So we'll come back to her. Senator Pouliot.
Morning, State Senator Matt Pouliot, District 15, Augusta, China, Oakland, Sydney, and Vassboro.
Representative Bickford.
Bruce Bickford. I represent House District 63, which is part of Auburn.
Excellent. Representative Carmichael.
Morning. It's Mickey Carmichael, represent District 137, which is 18 communities in Hancock, Washington, and Penobscot counties.
Representative Gramlich, I see you're with us.
Thank you, Senator. I am Lori Gramlich. I represent House District 13, which is the lovely seaside community of Old Orchard Beach.
All right, and Representative Hanley.
Good morning, I'm Jeff Hanley. I represent District 87, which is Pittston, Alna, and West Cassett.
And Representative Krajicek.
Hope you're on mute.
You're on mute. We can't hear you, Representative Krajicek. Representative Krajicek, you're muted.
Yeah, how about now?
Yeah, there you
Perfect.
go.
Okay, sorry, just got home. I'm heading in to get my laptop on. I'm Representative Ted Krajicek. I represent District 20, Acton, Lebanon, and part of Shapley.
Great, thank you. Representative Matlack.
Good morning. I'm Ann Matlack. I represent District 92, which includes the communities of Cushing, Thomaston, South Thomaston, St. George, Matinicus, Creehaven, and the Muscle Ridge Islands.
All right, Representative Perry.
Good morning, I'm Joe Perry. I represent part of Bangor and part of Orono in the main house.
And Representative Sachs.
Good morning, my name is Melanie Sachs and I represent House District 48, which is Freeport and part of Pownell.
All right, Representative Terry, you're with us.
Yes, good morning. I'm Representative Mo Terry. I represent District 26, the west side of Gorham.
It looks like Senator Daughtry's just joined us. Would you like to introduce yourself, Senator Daughtry?
Absolutely, thank you. Good morning. I'm Senator Maddie Daughtry. I represent Senate District 24, and I represent the communities of Harpswell, Brunswick, North Yarmouth, Freeport, and Pownell.
And I'm Senator Ben Chipman. I represent Senate District 27, which is part of the city of Portland. Serve as Senate Chair of the committee. Representative Terry is the House Chair of the committee. Also want to introduce Julie Jones, our committee analyst who's with us, as well as our clerk, Avery Page. Today we're going to pick up where we left off on Tuesday. We were going through parts of the supplemental budget that have to do with the taxation committee, and we tabled several items having to do with conformity. So I guess we'd like to pick up where we left off on that, and would ask our committee analyst, Julie Jones, to walk us through that. And we'll have several questions, I think, from members as we go through. So if folks have questions, feel free to raise your hand using the reactions button at the bottom of your screen, and we will ask lots of questions and get more information from folks.
Yes, hi. I wanted to mention a couple of things. I emailed committee members yesterday, either afternoon or early evening, a revised copy of the budget chart that we looked at on Tuesday. I shaded the items from Part A in the budget and Part K, which are not related to conformity, which you took straw votes, which were unanimous of the people present at the time, on items that are not related to conformity. So I shaded them. You could still take them up again if you want to, obviously, but just wanted to explain to you that chart if you happen to have it. I can share that if it's helpful. I'm not sure whether it's helpful to people or not for me to be doing that. But I also wanted to mention that we have with us today Beth Ashcroft, who is Director of the State Budget Office, who's here to talk to you about the revenue sharing provision of the bill. In Part A, there are adjustments to the amount of the allocations for revenue sharing. And there were questions about that on Tuesday, and she provided some information yesterday, which I also emailed to you. But it is also both of these items for people who are not committee members who may be listening on YouTube or otherwise members of the public. These items are both posted on the Taxation Committee materials page, both my chart and the information from Ms. Ashcroft. Ms. Ashcroft has to leave for other meetings that she has this morning, so she requested that if you would deal with her issues first, so she would be able to do that while she's here. Other than that, there's all the items that are left are related in one way or another to conformity. I don't know how you want to go through them. I know you asked a lot of questions of Maine Revenue Services. I have not heard from them, but I'm assuming that they probably have some additional information for you this morning as well. It might make more sense to hear from Ms. Ashcroft and then from Maine Revenue Services before you decide which items you want to talk about first.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Ms. Ashcroft, would you like to introduce yourself and speak to us?
Good morning. Hopefully I'm on. I clicked all the right buttons so that you can see me. Several of you I recognize faces, and it's good to see you again. Representative Perry, Representative Bickford, and also Senator Chipman. I think I'm not sure I've had any dealings with any of the rest of you in my prior life here with the state, that was with the state legislature, but good to be in front of you today. I understand that there were some questions regarding how we arrive at the allocations that we have in the budget for the municipal revenue sharing piece. As you probably know, that municipal revenue sharing line is split out really into two accounts, one being the state municipal revenue sharing and one being the disproportionate share tax burden fund. So the document that I sent yesterday is hopefully a good summary of what we've done in the budget, particularly in the change package that you will see that affects the municipal revenue sharing lines over in the Treasury Department. But at a high level, I guess I would first explain that the allocations that go into those two accounts really flow from the changes that are made in the general fund revenue side. And so in the submitted supplemental budget in Part A, we had in those accounts in Treasury only accounted for the through the August 2020 revenue forecast revenue. And that was an oversight that should have been continuing through and capturing the December 2020 revenue forecast. So we have corrected that in the change package so that the allocations that are in the municipal revenue sharing accounts now capture that December 2020 change, revenue forecast change. Additionally, as you know, we had some tax conformity items in the submitted supplemental budget, and then we added some new language parts in the change package that Commissioner Figueroa discussed with you earlier this week. And so those changes to the tax conformity also then flow to changes in the allocations for municipal revenue sharing. So we have both of those things going on in the change package, and there's a table in the document that I sent that Julie mentioned that shows, tries to show those revenue changes, the starting balance we had in fiscal year 21, and then the column headers might look a little odd to you, the IA 7203, et cetera. Those are the numbers that we have in the budget and financial management system that capture each of these, what we call change package items. So we have the one change package item that is capturing the December revenue, March through December change. And then the next column is the tax conformity revenue. And then you can see what we have for resulting revenue in those two lines. And then once we have that revenue determined, then the allocations flow from there. And the desire is to have the allocations matching what is available for revenue. And so in the next table that you'll see on the document I sent is all about the allocations and what we have made for changes in the allocations to those two lines that will now show up in the change package. And so it shows again the beginning balance in fiscal year 21 in those allocations, and then what we've done as an update in the change package in the next column to arrive at the totals. And you'll note that the allocations in that IA 7202 column reflect what Commissioner Figueroa testified to earlier this week as to what those allocations would now be. It does look a little weird that we've got, you know, one of those one of those allocation lines increasing and another decreasing. It doesn't really make intuitive sense when because we understand what's going on with the revenues. But what's happening there is that there are sometimes situations where we pass legislation or we have a revenue forecast where we change the revenues and we don't get the allocations brought in line with those on a current basis. So really what's happened here is we have some timing things that have gone on, as well as it looks like we've had a little bit of a misalignment in terms of the split between those two lines over time. And as a result, you know, the starting point where they're starting is really probably not where they should have been. So we are at this point doing what we need to do to adjust to bring both of those allocation lines in line with the revenue. And so really it's an adjustment to bring it even from where it started. I hope that's not too confusing. It is a bit of a it is a bit of a confusing trail to walk through, but I'm happy to take any questions that you might have about that.
Any questions from members of the committee for Ms. Ashcroft? Not seeing any hands raised, so I guess everyone's okay for now.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It was good to see you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Great, thank you. Julie?
I just wanted to mention, things always get more complicated. One of the things that people frequently don't recognize is that with regard to allocations, they're sort of in the way of information that is in the budget in terms of what we're expecting to happen. What the statutes provide is the amount that goes into the local government fund, which is the source of revenue sharing, is a percentage in this year, 3.75% of sales income tax and a portion of the service provider tax. Whatever goes in there is what ends up being distributed, regardless of what the allocation says. So the purpose of the allocation is to provide information essentially, and for the legislature to express that it does in fact want that money to be spent for those purposes. So the correcting of it is important to make sure that the allocations are correct. But if, for instance, you got it wrong this time around for some reason, or I think Ms. Ashcroft was saying that sometimes when legislation affects the sales tax or the income tax sometimes the fiscal note on that bill doesn't reflect that there's a change in the allocations to revenue sharing because we're changing the revenue from income tax or sales tax. So those allocations sometimes get a little off on occasion. And part of what they're doing in here is correcting that for past instances where it hasn't quite kept track with where it should have been, in addition to catching up with the revenue forecasting and making adjustments for the conformity changes in this bill. So I just wanted to mention that. I know when I first saw the allocations for the local government fund, I got a little confused because I thought it was a limitation on how much the state would be paying municipalities, but that's not in fact the way it works. The municipalities will get whatever does come into that fund. Just wanted to mention that.
Okay, great. So should we start going through the conformity sections again and using the revised chart that you sent out?
Yes, I might want to ask Mr. Allen, first of all, whether they have information that they want to provide to you ahead of time, or whether it makes sense for them to also go through it item by item, or whether it makes more sense to do some items first. I mean, I can go through my chart item by item, but the chart is simply the way the budget, the supplemental budget is set up. It's part B, part C, part D, part E. And that may not be the most logical way to deal with what's going on here. I'll mention at the beginning, because it's the easy part, that part B is the major conformity provision in the budget. It is the part that does nothing more than changing the date at which we conform to the Internal Revenue Code, changing it from December 31st, 2019 to December 1st, 2020. Conformity or lack of conformity is always a two-step process. The way we conform is to change that date, but to the extent that we don't want to fully conform, we have other parts and other addition and subtraction modifications to accomplish the lack of conformity. So those two things happen separately. It's sort of, we change the date and then we decide, then we make other changes where we want to do things that are different than what that date would tell us if we fully conformed. Just wanted to mention that because it gets confusing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Dr. Allen, so would you like to present any additional information to us that you might have?
We don't, as far as I know, we don't have any additional information for the committee today. We're working on developing estimates for those proposals the governor has proposed to decouple from. I think the committee had asked for that, and unfortunately, I don't have them available today. A lot of those are very complicated, and we haven't looked at those issues since back in the spring when the CARES Act had passed at the federal level. And even then, we had just put sort of rough numbers on them. So we should have those for you for next Tuesday. I'm happy to give sort of rough numbers, just like the commissioner did on Monday for PPP and those types of proposals. And we're happy to answer any questions that the committee may have on any of the proposals.
Are there any sections that you think make sense to take up first, as Julie had alluded to, or should we just go through the whole thing from beginning to end on the conformity issues?
I think whatever the committee has an interest in, we're happy to respond to.
You don't have any time constraints this morning? You can be with us for an hour and a half or something?
We're here for as long as you need us.
Great. Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Sure.
Could we have Dr. Allen give us the estimates for the numbers for those different parts, or even just a ballpark figure, total amount of money? I know the PPP is 100 million, and then when we talked on Tuesday, there was another 26 million. If you could give us a ballpark total, I would appreciate that.
You want that now, or should we do that as we go through each section?
Well, I like that now because after I get those numbers, I'm going to make a motion.
Okay, I mean, I guess I would just request Representative Kryzak that you allow, if you would be willing to allow the committee to go through the whole thing and ask all of our questions. If it's a tabling motion, that we would hold off on that so that we can have the ability to go through everything and get questions answered, because that obviously ends everything.
Mr. Chair, it's not a tabling motion.
Okay.
And there'll be plenty of time for discussion after I make it.
Okay. So I guess we will just go through the conformity sections that you sent us, I believe yesterday, Julie. And actually, well, we had a request for some estimates from Dr. Allen. So Dr. Allen, do you have some rough numbers for the things that we had asked about on Tuesday, as Representative Kryzak has just talked about?
As I said, I don't have any specific estimates, which is what we're still working on. We said that, as the commissioner indicated on Monday, conforming on the Paycheck Protection Program, double benefit would be roughly $100 million. And then the other items that the supplemental decouples from, I would say you would have to add maybe another 25 million or so. So we're probably talking somewhere around 125 million. Most of that in FY21, some of that in FY22, but the bulk of it in this fiscal year. Yeah, but again, we'll have those more specific total and for each of the provisions on Tuesday.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Sure, Representative Kryzak.
Thank you, Dr. Allen. I move that we fully conform by accepting the Part B language and not decouple in any subsequent sections with the recommendations that the Appropriations and Financial Affairs Committee balance the budget through reductions elsewhere in the fiscal year 21 budget. Also, that any necessary changes to the calculation for revenue sharing in Part A are made to reflect full conformity.
Okay, so we got a motion from Representative Kryzak.
I second.
There's a second from Representative Bickford. So now we're in discussion. Senator Dowtry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say that I still have many questions before I'd be comfortable voting on this motion. I think, it's clear that things are still in motion and we're still in the information gathering portion. So I was looking forward to the conversation to get more information from Mr. Allen, as well as Ms. Ashcroft.
Yeah, I guess I'd concur with that. I mean, there's a motion, we can discuss it. We could continue to go through the chart with Julie and ask questions before we vote on the motion. And if there's any tabling motion made at some other time in the meeting that would supersede the motion, if folks would like more time. Representative Bickford, do you have another question? Your hand's up.
I do. And that question is, I guess, I don't know if it's for Dr. Allen or it probably is. My question is, how do we have a supplemental budget, but yet we don't have the numbers to go along with it? I'm a little bit confused in that. I mean, the supplemental budget is there to balance our budget. So why don't we have those numbers that we're asking for? Those should have been made when that supplemental was delivered, I would imagine.
So the testimony that the commissioner gave on Monday included a fiscal note, our revenue estimate for the governor's budget submission. So for those items the governor is proposing to conform to, there was a detailed spreadsheet showing what each of those proposals by federal tax act and showed you our estimated revenue impact from those. So the budget does include all of that fiscal information. What the committee had asked for, and we're still working on, is for those items the governor proposed not to conform to, so they don't have a fiscal impact at the moment based on the governor's proposal, what would the fiscal impact be of conforming to those items? And
Okay,
we're still working on those.
Thank you for that.
Not seeing any additional questions. So
Actually, Senator Representative Perry.
yes.
I can't find the icon to raise my hand, but
Yeah, that's fine. Just raise your hand physically as long as we can see
Okay.
that. That's great. Go ahead.
so a motion was presented. We had a little bit of discussion. Are we now approaching a vote on that motion?
No, so a motion's been made, but it's not a tabling motion, so that we can now have debate and discussion. We could walk through the chart.
Okay. It just seemed like the conversation had run its course because I am not comfortable saying no to $100 million and then just saying your problem, not ours, to the Appropriations Committee or the governor. I can't make this judgment if I think this is good policy or not until I know where the $100 million is coming from. And I think maybe if we're going to tell appropriations, go find $100 million somewhere else, maybe we ought to come up with some suggestions. So I'd be curious where anyone might think this $100 million is going to come from, either a new revenue or cuts. And maybe that should be part of our reports and suggestions from us rather than just you go do it, not our problem.
Yeah, and I just point out it's actually 100. It sounds like 126 or 125 million total. Representative Terry and then Representative Bickford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So with the governor perhaps coming up with some alternatives to what she had originally proposed, it seems like taking a vote on this at the moment might be a little premature. So I would actually make a motion to table this till Tuesday or Thursday, depending on how long it takes her to come up with some other whatever ideas she's thinking of. Yeah, so I'd like to table.
So, I mean, do you want to make that motion table now, knowing that we wouldn't be able to have any further discussion this morning?
I think so.
Second it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a motion to table from Representative Terry and seconded by Representative Gramlich. That's not debatable. So all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand at the bottom of the screen using your reactions. So we don't have, so I guess those that aren't raising their hand are not voting to table. So you're not voting to table, Representative Terry? Well, you are.
Maybe one of the things I've learned in the last couple of days is if you want to raise your hand electronically, if you move your cursor down to the bottom of the screen, you'll get a bar which has a number of things in it, one of which says reactions. If you click on the reactions, there's an option to raise your hand. If you don't have the reactions or it's not in there, there may be other ways. Or you can wave your hand, one or the other. In terms of
your hand is raised or not?
Representative Perry.
He's
one of the things that we learned from Tuesday.
I've raised my hand 2 or 3 times and then it disappears. I figured out how to use the reactions, but it disappears on me.
That's the applause button, not the hand button.
Oh, for goodness sake. Okay.
Do you have a choice in there that says raise hand?
Let's see. Well, I must. Everyone else does, right?
Well, not necessarily.
Oh, right
One
here.
of the
No, I found it.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Clearly, your computer wants you to vote no.
I've got a raised hand on my cell phone and a thumbs up on my computer, so I don't know.
One of the things that Avery and I discovered on Tuesday is that it's really difficult to keep track of who is voting how, especially given that you're sometimes on more than one screen. And I know you don't want to do a roll call, but maybe if you'd allow me to just read off the names of the people who are voting in favor of this motion. And that way also as well, the people who are maybe listening on audio only will know, if that's okay.
Yeah, that makes sense because we want people listening to be able to know. So yeah, why don't we read off the names? Because so far all the votes we've taken were unanimous. So I just made that announcement at the end. But yeah, so looks like we've got 8 of us voting in favor. Representative Matlack, Representative Terry, myself, Representative Gramlich, Representative Sachs, Senator Daughtry, Representative Collins, and Representative Perry voting in favor of the motion to table. So with those voting can now lower your hands. We'll have a vote for those who are opposed. So everyone voted in favor has now lowered their hand. So all those opposed to the motion, please signify by raising your hand using the reactions button at the bottom of your screen. So we've got Senator Pouliot, Representative Hanley, Representative Bickford, Representative Carmichael, and Representative Kryzak. All voting. Representative Carmichael, your hand's now down. Are you in favor of this motion? Your hand's up. Okay, so looks like that those are opposed to the motion. So that motion carries. So we have now tabled the discussion on this. So now that we've tabled this, is there any other work we need to do today? Sounds like we've ended the entire discussion here, but I don't know if folks want to still discuss it or would like to just end the meeting or what? What's the pleasure of the committee?
Been tabled, we can't discuss it.
Right. We can't, yeah, you're right. But is there anything else we'd like to talk about or are we done for the day?
Mr. Chair.
Representative Terry, you had your hand up?
That's okay, Senator Pouliot's fine.
Pouliot?
Yeah, I think it probably should just be pretty clearly noted now. Maybe that was evident with the motion, but Republicans are not interested in anything less than full conformity. We've increased state government spending over $1 billion in 2 years. We've put businesses in a really, really difficult position. And I don't want to get into some kind of debate here or argument or anything. I just want to share with you where we're coming from. We really feel that, asking businesses right now to come up with this, these additional resources is a challenge. And I understand the case being made by the chief executive that this was a benefit that was put forward by the federal government, and the federal government can print money, but Maine can't. So they should give us the resources, and maybe it will come to that. And I sure hope that it does. But short of that, we need to look at tightening our belts too, like we've asked for Mainers to do for the last year, and passing this on to them in the midst of such significant increased spending in such a short period of time, I don't think is a reasonable thing to do. And surely we've heard from a lot of people to that effect. So I'm hopeful that we can work together to find a way to conform as we always have, and work on ways to find areas within the budget where we can maybe cut back a little bit. So I just want to be clear about that. We're not changing from that position, and hopefully we can find ways to make that happen.
Yeah, we understand the position, Senator Pouliot. I'd like to, I guess, make a brief statement as well, because we've had a lot of information out in the media and flying around on email and from different organizations about this. And I just think we need to be very clear about what's been presented by the governor. What's been presented is to tax PPP funding as income, but also allow all of the business expenses for which that funding was intended for and provided to businesses to allow them to stay afloat, paying payroll, rent, things like that, to be business expenses that would be deductible. And according to Maine Revenue Services from Tuesday at our meeting, would result in no increase in taxes for businesses who take those deductions. They wouldn't pay any additional taxes. And I don't think it's any of our interest of any of us on the committee to make small businesses have to pay any increased taxes. And I certainly don't want to do that. And that's not what the proposal would allow for if those deductions are taken appropriately. So I just want to put that out there as well. I think the interest in tabling this is to simply gather more information and to be able to come back and make an informed decision as a committee. And I think that makes sense. Does anybody else have some hands up? So we've got Representative Terry and then Representative Perry and Representative Kryzak.
Yeah, I just wanted to very, very briefly comment on Senator Pouliot's notion that the state is asking for businesses to come up with more resources. That is not the case. We are not, this proposal does not do any damage to small business. They, you add it in as income and you take it out as deductions. It's really very simple math. So that being said, I understand what you're saying, and I would love it if we were to pass this on as is to the Appropriations Committee, how we would do that. what kind of cuts we're talking about. So if when we do come back and discuss this, if we could bring some ideas to the table, I think that would be not only helpful for us to make the decision, but also to help with appropriations work.
Representative Perry?
Thank you. Just a request for information for the next time we meet, the work session. I mean, the main revenue must know how they came up with this fiscal note. So I'd be curious if there's any way for us to understand who would be taxed. I have seen reports of big law firms and accounting firms getting millions of dollars in aid. 8 million, I've heard of one. I've been trying to research it on my phone while we're talking about this, and I don't know what their losses were. So, I mean, I have a friend in the restaurant business who got nearly $500,000 in support, and he's entirely in favor of or sees this as not necessary because he has the offsetting expenses, as I think almost every business does. So I would really, before we take another 125 million out of this budget, the pain that will cause either on the property taxpayers or on someone, I'd like to know who actually is being taxed and find out if they're really being hurt by this and compare that. That's why I'd like to know some of the options for where we're going to make it up, so I can compare apples to apples. Is this more painful, or is the 125 million in other cuts more painful? So I like the idea before voting, having some sort of idea where this might come from. It's very difficult to make a judgment when we just pass it off onto someone else and say, you go for it.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, Representative Perry. I'd like to also add something briefly that I didn't mention when I made my statement earlier, and that's that there were a lot of small businesses in the state that were not able to get their paperwork in time. They didn't know the right accountants. They didn't have the right relationships with bankers to be able to qualify for this this grant, essentially, that other businesses did receive from the federal government, the PPP funding. And so there's no proposal to allow them to be able to take deductions on income that they didn't pay taxes on. And I just find it really unfair that we would consider providing essentially a double benefit to the businesses that had those relationships and were able to get that grant funding from the federal government. Is there any additional comments or statements that folks would like to make? I saw Julie.
Whoa, I got a bite. I gotta go.
Go ahead. Representative Kreiser?
Mr. Chair,
I'm sorry?
is it okay for me to talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, thank you. A couple of things. If there's no cost to businesses by doing this, where does $125 million come from? Somebody's got to be paying it. The other thing is when the bill was written, especially, I'll just go to the PPP. When the bill was written, they knew that they were giving them a double deduction. They did it on purpose because of the way the economy is and the way the COVID is. And that was their intent. For us to take that away from the small businesses in the state, that we need to get back online. We need them to get back working and everything. And to take that money from them is just going to put them in harm. Now, what has been proposed is a supplemental and a biannual budget at the same time. We're not splitting them off, and we should split them off because this money is not going to be in the supplemental. We can finish the supplemental, finish this year, and then we can look at the biannual budget and figure out if it's 125 million, there's 400 million of additional spending in the biannual budget. So it
Point of order. So sorry, Ted, but I think that this is one of those discussions that since we've tabled it, that's the kind of detail I think getting into it next week is where we can go with it.
Representative Bickford, do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, that last bite wasn't a bite. I thought it was. But we are starting to get down into the motion that we tabled. So I think this discussion should probably end.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds fine. And Julie, you had your hand up at one point. Did you want to speak to us?
Well, I thought that you were the point of adjourning, and if you're there now, I just wanted to mention that bring to people's attention that starting next week, meetings will begin at 9:30 rather than 9 o'clock. So I just wanted to mention that. And also ask, I guess, if after you adjourn, if the chairs could just hang around for a couple of minutes to talk to me about the timing of our scheduling meeting on Monday.
Sure, yeah, we can do that.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead,
I
Senator.
want to
Poole.
clarify that Dr. Allen was going to be delivering those figures sometime by maybe the end of the day tomorrow regarding the actual cost for everything.
Dr. Allen, are you still with us?
Yes, it's possible we might have them done by tomorrow. I can't guarantee that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so seeing that we're now, I guess, come to the end of our meeting, that item was tabled, and seeing no further discussion, we will now adjourn the meeting of the Taxation Committee, and we'll see everybody on Tuesday at 9:30.
Thanks, everyone.